Hello.
Hey.
Happy Thursday, guys. So we are super excited for this week's discussion, and we've got some fun guests, and we have a lot of people tuning in.
Yeah, lots of people tuning in, lots of people sharing. We're really trying to get those shares up. So if you are watching right now, push the share button, send it to your Facebook wall. Also, if you saw our sign, I was asking, what's your favorite Disney song? So to get the comments going, comment, what is your favorite Disney song? We were having a total dance party.
We had a
here.
dance party, and let me just tell you, some of these girls have better moves than
Yeah, I wish it had been live, and I was
we should have YouTube lived it.
Instagram, but we were busy prepping, so
we will
we
be
are.
holding Disney dance parties maybe often.
I love it.
yeah.
So, all right. So I would love to tell you kind of who's with us tonight. We have back Miss Sarah.
Hi.
Anybody? What show were you on with us?
Online dating.
Online dating. That's right.
That was a good one. That was one that got some of our best views.
Yeah, best opinions.
Yeah.
And then our other guest. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Do I really have to?
Yeah.
Can I tell you who I am when I walked in the door?
Yes.
I need my crown.
We don't
The
have your
crown.
Pause.
My crown.
Producer,
Flag
bring us
on the play.
crown.
Hold on one second.
Oh, hold on. I have to put on my crown.
This is worth the wait.
Thanks, Hank.
I am Princess Consuela Banana Hammock.
Banana hammock.
Princess Consuela
Banana
Banana
hammock.
Hammock.
So when she
Shout
walks
out to
in, she
friends.
literally walked in my house today and went, I am here. So what is your
That's
real name,
amazing.
Princess Banana Hammock?
Am I using my name or my?
No, your name. We use real names.
My store, my station.
Yeah, we use real
Hi, I'm
names here.
Kathy.
All right. So, and Kathy has 3 daughters, different generations, complete.
17, 12, and 3.
So, and I have an 11-year-old little girl, and so we're going to kind of talk about, how this affects girls in society, but I do think it affects our boys too.
I have 2 boys, so I'm not directly affected, but I have some thoughts that I got from the comments on some of our posts earlier today about how this affects boys. And
Yeah.
you have
Girl, boy, girl.
the littlest one. She's not affected yet. She's too little.
No. She's
Yeah.
8 months old.
She has
She's
no idea
oblivious.
what's going on.
She's totally fine.
So, awesome. Well, let's get started.
Yeah. So a little icebreaker question. For those of you watching live, you can participate as well, or if you're watching this back later, your favorite princess. That
Go.
side. This side? What's your favorite princess?
As a child, my favorite princess was Ariel. Me and my friend Trista, who I consulted heavily about.
They did extreme research.
No, this was actually really fun. We would have sing-offs pretending to be Ariel. We swam in the pool like a mermaid. It was a whole thing. We loved The Little Mermaid. But as an adult, I can safely say that either Rapunzel or Moana. I like some of the more current ones. My husband is a huge, he actually really enjoys the movie Tangled, and so I really love Moana. So
Yeah, I think I'm between Moana and Tangled, and I'm conflicted because it's really nothing to do with the princess, and it's all about the music.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna really have to pick one, it's gonna be Moana
So
because
it's not really your favorite princess, it's your
I
favorite
sing
movie.
me some Moana in the car.
oh, so fun.
So mine was always Pocahontas, which is really funny because,
You stole mine.
oh, I'm sorry.
You can have the same favorite.
But I think the reason
I
mine
liked
was
her, too.
Pocahontas is because I can't do the wilderness and the outside and
Oh,
all the
yeah.
great things she does. And so I was like, that's so cool. And she's pretty. And she has great hair.
Yes.
So she
Oh, yeah.
she was mine always.
just around the river bend.
I
like
have to
that
say,
song.
my number 1 is probably Pocahontas, but that's because I grew up on a farm. So I'm, back to nature, like to be barefoot, could run in the woods type of, well, not right now, but I could 20 years ago.
We're going to test this
But
after the
that-
show.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
But more of the earth and the people coming together.
Mm.
That's my upbringing. So that's the one I relate to the most. And then probably Merida.
From Brave.
Just because I'll be shooting from my own hand. It's the independence of it, ladies.
Yeah. Very independent.
And
I
the Scottish accent and
Yes.
the crazy hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all of that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So
So then what about your least favorite princess? I want to answer for you.
You want to answer for me?
Yeah, because I know that like Ariel was your favorite as a child, but
Yeah.
isn't she your least favorite now that you're an adult?
So she's one of my least favorite in the fact of the more recent ones, because she was so like, I'm 16 years old. I'm not a child. Girl, you are the definition of a child.
Yes.
So I love Ariel. I love the story, but like there's, as an adult as a parent, I have issues with Ariel the most now. But just as a like just watching and enjoying, some of the earlier ones. I'm not a fan of Snow White. They're just really passive, and so we can get into that more.
Yeah.
But probably Snow White.
Yeah. I would say my least favorite is Cinderella, not because I don't actually like her, but because I have to pick one. And she's just kind of boring. I feel like it's like old news.
Who?
Cinderella.
No, I was commenting.
You
People
know-
are commenting. Please keep commenting. I'm
You know
responding.
what's interesting
but-
about Cinderella, real quick, is that I asked my mom and grandma who their favorite and least favorite was, and they said Cinderella because she is the quote unquote quintessential princess. So when you talk
she's
about
perfect.
Yeah.
when you talk about having a wedding dress, you want a Cinderella gown and a Cinderella castle and all that.
And, yeah.
So like they in their mind, she's the quintessential princess.
Well,
Interesting.
if I could be completely honest, I would have even picked, and she's not on this list, Mary Poppins is my favorite princess.
I was gonna say practically
God.
perfect in every way.
Yeah. But she's
not a princess.
I went
though.
to Disney 2 years ago. I'm grown. I was cool through everything. They're just people in character, all
Right.
that. You go over to Epcot to the England and Mary Poppins stand there, and I literally acted like a 3-year-old.
Oh, that's
A video does surface of it. It will not be shared.
Oh.
I
just
was like,
I
was
would
like,
like to
oh my
share that.
gosh, there's Mary Poppins. And the person I was with was kind of like trying to get a beer in Germany, and I was like running to United Kingdom where she was standing, and I like left my children like way behind me as I'm running.
That's amazing.
So it's not the proudest moment, but I have a picture and her autograph, and I even
Oh
let
my
her
goodness.
sign my hat, and so she's probably my real favorite. But she's not a princess. Well, to me, she is. She's not.
There you go.
But what's your least favorite?
So my least favorite, I just thought of her. My least favorite, I don't know. I really didn't like Aurora, but I can't really tell you even why. I just didn't like her.
She's very passive.
Yeah,
She's
is
literally asleep
Well,
for most of it.
you know what's speaking of passive, I was like, who's Aurora?
Right? See, she's not even known.
she's just Sleeping
That
Beauty.
okay? Can I just tell you the wonderfulness though of Sleeping
gosh.
Beauty is honestly like the secondary characters, and that is, I think Maleficent is like an amazing villain. Like
Yeah.
she's
We were-
amazing.
We were going
Love
over
her.
some of the villains, which I thought was really cool. Through the movie, kind of seeing how that looks. So we've got a couple people that are watching and chiming in,
Mhm.
which is fun. But Sleeping Beauty, a lot do not like her.
Apparently, she's got some bad history if you read the
Yeah.
real stories and the
Because I
original fairy
studied the
tales.
history of the story, and it's like gross, and I have never looked at it the same. Same as Belle.
Well,
I have
we'll
to
get
research
into
that
Belle.
later.
We'll
We're
get
gonna-
into Belle.
Yeah,
Kathy,
go ahead.
what's your least favorite?
I don't really have one, believe it or not. I
Yeah.
don't, because I think that each storyline has a different position in your life in regards to what you're doing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have a least favorite.
Yeah.
One, because I've seen my story go through the different arcs of the different princesses.
Wow.
So it's kind of like each little character has popped up in a different spot in my life. So I don't really have one that I don't like.
All right, I'll accept that.
That is good. That is good. And something very similar. I had talked to several people who had taken our poll probably like 2 weeks ago when we first brought up, and I started to like research this. And some people had said that there is some good storyline in it that can relate to everybody's life at some point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So let's get into some of the hot button topics. Like, what is the beef with Disney princesses? And the first one I have written down is that women don't need a prince to save them. That's like an argument that people have.
Well,
for Disney
a lot of
princesses.
the arguments were that the Disney princesses are very submissive and they need a man and they look for a man. But in my opinion, even as an independent woman, all of us are looking for somebody else to, our other half and all that. I don't think you need to be submissive and be dumb.
Yeah.
They're dumb to be able to get this man, or technically need them. But we all dream of wanting a Prince Charming. We all dream of having that other half.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if you think about the history of just like where and the timing of some of these princesses, first of all, Disney really sanitized some of the original stories of these. Like, they were very like horrific, some of these grim fairy tales that most of these are based on. But the original three, Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora, were very submissive. But when they were made, most women were stay-at-home moms. Most women did, their dream was about a man. And then I think when most of us were little was when they, the Disney Renaissance, if you want to call that, and that started with The Little Mermaid and up and through Mulan, and these were take action women. You had the first quote unquote smart princess with Belle. You had the first quote unquote strong princess with Mulan. And so there was definitely a shift from for needing a man to literally wake you up from being like dead to
Well,
like
if I'm dead and I
I'm
can be
dead and a
woken
man
up,
can come kiss me and wake me up, then I'm
I'll
okay with
accept
it.
that.
yeah.
I will
But I
accept it.
think in those first three,
Yeah.
the other thing we need to look at is the male point of view. None of those men were disrespectful.
They weren't.
None of those men treated the women poorly. They, everything they came across honoring, respectful, caring.
Yeah.
Things that we idolize in a man, that we want to find in a man who's going to be with us for the rest of our life.
And
Or
very
in a partner.
pursuant as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I had someone on one of our posts today comment about how that sets unrealistic expectations because men aren't really like that. And so
But they should be.
They should
I
be.
agree. And
They may
I
not all be
personally-
like that.
I personally think my husband is like that. He's in the room and I complimented him and he didn't notice. But
I will compliment him that her husband is very much like that.
but I'm just saying those men do exist, and I don't think that we should just say, oh, because it's maybe not the norm, we shouldn't hope and aspire to that. I think
Exactly.
that
we
should
shouldn't
be
settle
teaching.
because we think it's not there.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, like, as a boy mom, that I look at this and think, I want to teach my boys to be that Prince Charming, and to treat a woman that way, and to wake her up from a dead sleep.
Well, and I think all the so-called Prince Charmings in each story are that way. You have some villains who fill in as a pseudo Prince Charming occasionally.
Yeah.
Which
But I
we
think-
have those too. Those
Yeah.
exist.
I think most
Very much
Prince
so.
Charmings in the end actually are respectful, caring, concerned for the woman. Their focus is on her.
Mhm.
So I think when we look at it and we say it gives us a false sense of male domination and falling in line under what we need in a man, I think it's more of you need to kind of flip that and say, well, that's what I'm looking for in a man.
Yeah.
The caring, the concerned about me, respect for me,
yeah,
doesn't
definitely.
take advantage of me,
Yeah.
but their focus is on me,
Yeah.
type of man. And I
Yeah.
think that it shows that, and I think we miss that in our feminist movement, where we are women, we want it all, we have it all, we can do it all type of thought process.
And I think
Yeah.
that's important to, she said in this movement, like, you're right with stating, like, those beginning princesses, that was what was going on in that day and age, that society. And then we did go through a feminist movement. I like that wording.
We're gonna try our first ever producing mic.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
Here we
goodness.
go.
Are you raising your hand?
Disembodied voice.
Yeah, he raised his hand.
Is it
we allowed
working?
him to
Is it
speak.
working?
We're
Okay,
allowing you to
Tracy
speak.
Herchick had a comment about this exact thing earlier.
Oh, she sent me an amazing
Did I
video.
did I say the name right?
Yes.
Herchick. Okay.
She's a very good friend of mine.
She said moms of boys are very much affected, that they should know that their expectation is not to be a complete Prince Charming, but to be a prince of equality.
Yes.
Mm,
She's wonderful.
okay. That's good.
That
I
is
like
good.
Lucy's comment that was kind of on the funny side. like a quote from those princes saying, "Let me kiss the girl who I just found sleeping." Like, did they know they were going there to kiss the girl to wake her up?
No.
It's an interesting
but I
question.
think that
Yeah,
but in defense, I do want to play devil's advocate a little bit with that, like,
Oh,
you
gosh.
know, and she did, Lucy did mention a little bit, like, very kind of that we really have an issue with consent. I think is what Lucy is saying.
So, can we say your profession right now?
You can say my profession. That's
Sarah
fine.
is a therapist.
I am a
So
therapist.
she works with children and she's a therapist.
Sometimes mine, off the record.
Yeah. Off the record.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that is a big complaint that, you know, with the earlier princesses was the issue of consent. When it's trying to, you know, somebody's sleeping and I'm going to wake her up by kissing her, was, I think, Lucy's point. And I think that there was another one that was talking about, like, Mulan and Anna and Elsa doing okay. And we're going to get to our later princesses, I think, in a little bit.
Yeah.
That, yeah, Mulan was great, but Pocahontas was also very strong. And so I
Yeah.
do think that once we got into some of those, like, mid-90s princesses, we did see a shift. And they were more strong and take
For
action.
sure.
And they may have ended up with the man, but they took action in order to
Show
have
their value.
have the life that they wanted to have and to show their value. I think that's
Yes,
big.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So
Yeah.
what about the complaint that it teaches our daughters to be vain? Like the idea of the frilly dresses and the perfect bodies and the way
I
we
don't
present
think
Wow.
I don't think it's the movie that
And I don't think
teaches
it's
the
just our
daughters
girls.
to be vain. I think it's society.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have they a thick princess yet?
And I
Merida was. Kind
She
of.
wasn't
I'm just
perfect.
processing that. It took me a minute.
Well, you know what? I'll go a little off.
They
off
haven't
and
actually.
say and go way into left field and go with the Fiona aspect of not being the perfect princess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which may not be included in Disney, but the Disney
But she's
princesses
not
were
perfect.
brought into their movie. And Fiona's not perfect. Fiona's the perfect example of you had the perfect princess, but what she chose to be was who she was
She
inside.
was inside.
Yeah.
I love her.
Not what everybody envisioned her to be on the outside, but who she was inside.
Yeah.
But, I mean, going Princess and the Frog with Tiana, they fell in love
I've
as
never
frogs.
seen
Yeah.
that
I've
one.
never seen that movie.
I hadn't seen it until we got that one for my daughter for Christmas, and she really loved it. Except it's a little scary. My daughter's only 5 and
Yeah,
a
the
half.
kid- the
so-
witch-
What?
No,
Dog ears.
the
Yeah.
Witch King is a little
Yeah.
Yeah,
creepy.
the Voodoo King is just a little creepy, but she really liked it. And that was definitely a take charge princess who
Mhm.
had a dream.
Mhm.
And I mean, literally, there's a song called "I Have a Dream."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she really did that, but she wasn't the perfect princess because she was a frog. And so that one was good. Like
I
I
thought
said,
she
a
was
little
pretty
scary
perfect.
for my little one, but she really liked it. Until recently, that was her favorite princess. So,
So thinking about some of the positives, like, and this is one that kind of sits the fence of like, is it positive or is it not? Do we feel that Disney movies end with a positive message? And if they do, does it kind of, is it better than like all these things that might not be so great about?
I
I'm
think
gonna
that,
say yes.
I think that yes, they usually all end in there is a positive message in each and every Disney movie, not even just the princess one.
Right.
I feel like in today's society, even if something is wonderful, there are going to be people that find the negative and look at it at a different angle and pull it and misconstrue it and all that. That's going to be in anything in life. But I do think that Disney's point, their intention, their complete plan is to teach lessons, encourage children, and build them up while entertaining
and making money.
and
But-
making money. Yeah.
Well, I had texted some friends from college about what's your, most favorite and least favorite princess, and one said Mulan for her favorite, and I'm like, she has merchandise, so that means she's a princess, right? So I just kind of joke, but I do think that there's a positive message a lot of times, so my friend Trista that I had referenced before, she had talked about this idea of not giving up and fighting for what you want, and really having the choice to change your circumstances if you
Yeah.
really want to, and really pursuing your dreams. And I just think that I think that they do have a positive message. There are things that, especially as a parent, I am going to nitpick. And I mean, unfortunately, I do view things through sometimes of a trauma therapy lens. And so there are things that I have problems with. But,
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that it definitely does teach children to dream. I love, little girls will say, when I grow up, I want to be Cinderella, and that's like something, it's a creative idea that like they think they can aspire to be that, but to think that they can achieve something and be something that they can't even comprehend yet, I think is really, really important. So I love that aspect
I mean,
of it.
my daughter, the reason that she loved Belle was not because of her dress or anything like that. It was because she loved to read, and she had the most amazing library. And
It is an amazing library. I'm jealous of it.
And if any of you know my daughter, I'm like, oh, that's an amazing thing that you want to read.
Yeah.
So I was surprised about that.
Why don't I see that every evening for your homework?
Yeah, I don't know.
So then, and also another thing is, and this kind of combats the idea of it being vain, is that it's just fun.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
It's fun to get dressed up and be fancy. I like getting dressed up and being fancy and feeling pretty. And I think as long as your heart's in the right place, there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. And I mean, I do. I like to put jewelry on. I like to curl my hair. I like to put fancy dresses on. I know that my bubble was popped a long time ago that I'm not going to be a Disney princess. But I think also
You are a princess. I mean, look at that
Thank you.
hair.
It teaches them to dream, to appreciate, I don't want my daughter to think that what she looks like is everything, but I also want her to feel pretty. And if she feels pretty wearing a dress, then wear the dress. Like, it's my job as a parent to give you the heart, or to guide you, to give you a heart, and, kind of navigate through life of like positives and negatives. But this is what makes you happy. You want to be a Disney princess? Put the dress on. My son wore the Cinderella dress for quite some years. Just saying. Like,
My boys didn't have dresses to wear since we had no girls in the house, but I will tell you that the Tinkerbell movies on Netflix, we watched all of those at least 10 times each. I enjoyed that. They also really like Princess Sophia. She's pretty strong. I
yes,
like
she
her.
is.
So we watched more Princess than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that point, Danielle, about you being a parent to guide. And I think that a lot of the times where some of the controversy, and I say controversy in the fact that, like, I feel like as adults, we've kind of looked at things and, like, had issues with it. Any 5-year-old isn't going to have a controversy with the Disney princesses. But it is our job as parents to say, like, it is fun to make believe, and this is not real. This is fun. It is great to have a good time, and your looks don't matter, but it is really fun to put on the dress.
Yeah.
I will tell you, one of my dreams is to get my daughter to Disney when she is still in this phase of
definitely.
being obsessed with Disney princesses, and I want to take her to that little boutique where they like make
The
yoga.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boop Shop.
It is extreme. So, Olivia's
want it.
5th birthday, for both of my kids, for their 5th birthday, we went to Disney. And it looked very different each time, because when Olivia was 5 to when she was 10, different world completely. And Carter, when he was 5, when a princess walked by, he turned completally red and blushed. It's cute to me.
it's so cute.
But you're right. I feel like as parents, we need to have those talks. And, it just in life, even now, I dream. And there are some times that I will go on a banshee about something, and my mom will be like, that's probably not reality, but I love that you still dream. Like, so many adults don't dream anymore. And our dreams look different. My dreams are now about, like, building fun things on my deck and not, like, running away with Prince Charming.
But why not?
Though, to be honest, my dreams now recently are to find Prince Charming now. But, I mean, like, our dreams are different as adults, but it's important that we are always dreaming, always striving for something, always wanting to move forward and be who we were created to be, but also, like, not take life so serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But
have
that's-
that joy of the child.
Yeah.
That's it. I think, unfortunately, when we grow up, we lose that frivolous dream that the kids have.
Yeah.
And so when the kids are in that dream state where it isn't reality, we're really, really quick to say, well, that's not real and you'll never have that. And I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what a lot of kids get when it's not bolstering. You can be anything you want to be if you work hard enough to be it.
Exactly.
So I think as adults, we need to kind of dial it back and look at, what they're dreaming, we may have dreamed at that age. And it may not have
It
worked
is
out
in
for
their
us,
age. Yeah.
but it might work out for them.
Yeah.
And I
And
can
not
tell
crush
you
it.
two things, like going with that, two things. Do you guys remember prom? Do you
No.
remember like homecoming?
Yeah.
Do you remember? We had to have
I
the
do.
pretty dress. We had to have our hair pretty. We were almost adults, still trying to be the pretty princess. And I can tell you, many of you
Well,
saw
and, like planning a wedding as well.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness gracious.
we want to be. It's still that dream of being the princess. And I can tell you, so the other day, you guys all saw that picture of Olivia in that wedding dress,
Oh,
which
she looks.
wasn't supposed to fit, and it like fit perfect. We actually
Was it yours by chance?
no, I was never that little. I came there. But I can tell you a little secret. This kind of shows you how I'm a photographer, and that picture is taken in a Goodwill fitting room.
Oh.
So we had a blast for 2 hours. We pulled every dress off of the hanger there and tried dresses on and walked around the Goodwill. We got a lot of funny looks. But I played princess with my 11-year-old. Like
That's so fun.
it was, and it brought tears to my eyes to just go, this is fun. Am I gonna be a princess? No. Is she gonna be a princess? No, she'll be caught in the library before that. But it did. It as adults, you stop dreaming.
You stop dreaming.
You stop
You
looking.
get so focused on reality and the
Right.
harshness of reality
also
that we
think that it's-
project that on them.
Yeah, and I think it's also shaming, like people shame those who dream.
yeah.
Because I'm in a phase of life where I'm trying to dream again, and I am dreaming, and my husband and I have this dream that when we're 45 and our kids are both in college, that we will move to this cute, quaint little town in North Carolina,
Aw.
and we'll I'm not saying retire there because we're both workaholics, so we'll both still be working on something, but to have this life in North Carolina at the age of 45. And I feel like when I say it out loud, people don't really either believe me or they think that I'm silly or you should just live in Ohio forever because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Or
But those are dreams, and I love
Or
that.
they aren't there.
And I had those dreams too. Mine was Savannah, Georgia. We were gonna live in a little cottage in Savannah, Georgia, and that's just what we were gonna do. And we were gonna visit the park and do things. But you do get a lot of looks. Like I do remember telling people, you're right. Like telling people, and they thought that was crazy.
And they think it's like a dream. Well, and that's the thing too is kids believe that their dreams can be reality.
Yeah.
But we never believe our kids can do those things. We never believe they can be Cinderella. But
they
so
could.
then we get to be an adult. I know they literally could go to Florida and work
And
at
be
Disney
Cinderella.
World and be Cinderella.
There's a lot of statistics.
It's totally possible.
And you brought up the shame thing. I can tell you. So a little more to that story of the Goodwill that night. So we got looks and people judged. So we bought 2 dresses. I wish there's pictures of these. We came home, we put them on, and we made pizza rolls in the oven and just sat on the couch
Oh
in
my
these
gosh.
huge prom dresses
That's amazing.
all evening. It was so much fun. But you know what?
And that's a memory she's gonna have forever.
But when you I hope. But when you brought up shame, I can tell you, when I was walking around the store, I was dreaming and I was excited and it was wonderful. But there were times where I was like, oh, that person's looking at me. That person's looking at me. I wonder what those were going through my head.
Yeah.
But then when I walked in the door, I put that dress on and could care less because I was in my home. And, I'm talking about fancy dresses and princesses, but how many of us do that when we're out in public? We're like, what's that person think of me? Oh, are they looking at my outfit? How's my hair look? This and that.
Oh my gosh.
But then when we get into our house, this is our comfort. We shut the doors and we're like, we finally aren't maybe as hard on ourselves, or we don't allow. But really, should we let people have that big of an influence on us?
No. And the only thing I have to say about that is I'm probably older than all 3 of you, so I've had a little bit of experience of being shamed a lot in my life, and I have reached a point in my life where it's not so much that I don't care, but I don't care. Yeah. if you don't like me for who I am and you don't like me for the direction I'm going in my life, I don't need you in my life.
Yeah.
So I kind of have brushed that under the rug. I used to, when I was a lot younger, I used to care what people thought, and I cared about who were my friends, and I reached a point where when people would look down on me, I kept thinking, if you're gonna look down on me, why do I really care? Because I'm never gonna meet your approval.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have tried to instill that in not only my daughters but also my son, and that you're not gonna please everybody. And if you go through life trying to please everybody, you're going to fail miserably every day, and you're going to be miserable every day. So you need to realize that you're going to have people there who are going to support you, and those are the people you keep close. And you're going to have people there who are going to knock you down every step you take. And those are the people who you can look at that and just be like,
Sorry. Bye. Bye,
yeah,
Felicia.
I don't need you in my life
Bye,
right now.
Felicia.
Well, I will say that there is my daughter is my 5-year-old is pretty sassy, and she definitely has some attitude. And sometimes I look at her, I'm like, oh my gosh, she will do what she wants. Now that comes with a lot of pros and cons, but one of those pros is like she just lives her authentic little self, and
That's
I love
great.
that, and I love that for her. And so yeah, I definitely think that there is a sense of as like some of these princesses look a little bit different,
Mhm.
and they have a little bit different of a story, and they have a little bit different, like we had talked before the show started about the towards the most recent princesses, there's not really a villain.
Mhm.
It's like an internal struggle,
Mhm.
and I think it's so just pertinent to kind of day and age stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
thinking
it-
about those ones, particularly the three that come up often are Brave, Moana, and Frozen. And it's funny because we just call it Brave. What's her actual name?
Merida.
Merida.
We just have labeled her as brave.
Yeah.
She is brave.
Yeah.
Merida.
Well, and Frozen is Elsa,
Moana.
but
Those were the three we were talking about.
but that's
Yeah.
true. Like, yeah, who's the villain? So what would you say is the villain in those if it's not an individual person? It's like the battle that's inside them.
It's growth.
Which movie?
But isn't that
And
kind of what
either
we
of
go
them.
through now?
Brave,
like in the-
Moana, and Frozen.
Brave
It's-
is the bear. right?
No, not necessarily, because
Yeah.
that's not the initial issue in the beginning. The initial issue is the conflict between her and her mother, and understanding and having a relationship and being willing to understand where each person's coming from, and they're
Yeah.
fighting that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and
Being
neither of them are a
respectful.
villain. They just have a disagreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that leads them down the path of the mother changing to a bear and then finding the bad
Yeah.
bear. But that doesn't necessarily make the bad bear the villain. It's the actions and the sequence of events between the two and the relationship and the internal conflict they have of how they feel life should be
Yeah.
that directs them that
Mhm.
way.
You ready for my mic
Yeah.
drop moment?
Oh, Lord.
In Moana, the villain is the insecurity of men.
In Moana,
You know what? Internal struggle. Yep, that's
It's
it.
Maui.
Yeah, he was so
But he's
Maui.
not a
Yeah.
man.
He's a god, he's a demigod, but he's a man. And it's played by The Rock of all people.
I really didn't like Maui, but mostly like his muscles actually made me uncomfortable.
But the point
Like
is,
it was just way
Wait,
too
what?
fake, and like I don't like how his like chest muscles can like dance.
he steals.
That's a whole different road. That's an internal struggle.
I love Maui.
I
like how he like.
Maui.
I like how he like
my
flicks.
skin crawls.
No, I like how he like
No.
flicks his little like tattoo guy on his
Uh-huh.
back.
No, it gives me
Oh
willies.
my
But
goodness.
but he steals the stone to get more people to love him.
Right.
Yeah.
He is.
And,
Yeah.
and that creates.
Yes.
That creates the
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
And then Lucy pointed out in our comments that with Frozen, the villain is hatred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that fear breeds hate,
Mm-hmm.
and
And that's a
Well, but
daily
wait, is
struggle.
the villain hatred or is the villain fear?
Both.
oh,
But that's, I would say
it's
more
the
fear.
It's got real
it's
deep.
her fear of people knowing who she is
Yeah.
really.
And she's
that
also
causes-
scared, and she's also
I love that,
scared of
Lucy.
hurting the people that she loves. You know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why she shuts everybody out, is that she really does love her sister and doesn't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
She said both.
Yeah.
Lucy
I
says
agree
that
with
she
phantom
agrees with the
voice.
phantom voice. So I think that we get a thumbs up for
The
having our
phantom voice.
producer Hank have a phantom microphone.
We're gonna call him Phantom now instead of producer.
Phantom.
I got another text
Phantom's
just
here.
now.
Yeah.
Another vote for the favorite being Belle and least favorite being Aurora. Because
Poor
quote
I feel
unquote,
bad for Aurora.
she's lame. according to
She's
that.
lame.
According to my text. But that Belle was smart and loved beneath the surface. So.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, in my polling,
But she loved an
So I
animal.
want to say what you said earlier because I didn't think of this. I like that you had said that Belle, whoever that was, Belle loves underneath the surface. But you brought up some like therapy that I was like, oh yeah, that's true with Belle. So go.
Yeah.
So
Who does she fall in love with, Sarah?
her freaking captor. Hashtag Stockholm syndrome.
There's our therapist right there.
Yeah. So when
And her captor's an animal. I mean, it's complex.
So it is,
Complex.
and he's
So
not,
yeah, I love that she loves under the surface.
She didn't
but-
know he was going to turn into a human.
but
That just got
he
lucky.
was also kind of not a nice person even before he turned
That's
into
true.
a beast. And so when I was talking to a variety of people doing my research for this show because I think this is so fun. I just got another vote for Aurora as a passive character.
God, poor Aurora. I mean, she doesn't really hit the screen. She's like a baby, and then she's hidden.
She
And then
dances
she
for a
breaks her
little bit
finger,
with a
and then
done.
she's done.
Okay. Back
Poor
to Belle.
girl.
Back to Belle in this syndrome she has.
Well, here's my. So the controversy with Belle, when I talk to people, most people will agree about, some of the earlier princesses being very passive, the later princess being more strong. But I hear the most controversy about Belle because she was kind of labeled as like the first smart princess. She loved to read. She looked beneath the surface. She didn't want the guy that everybody wanted. But
Because she looked beneath the surface.
because she didn't want the guy that everybody else wanted and all that kind of stuff. She did what she did for she put herself in harm's way for the love of her father because she loved her family. However, like she legit fell in love with the person that held her hostage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And she didn't know that he was going to turn into a good person. And so there's a lot of, like, if you want to get into some of the, like, trauma about that, like I said, in a more, like, psychological way, like, that is kind of messed up. If you think about, like, if somebody, like, kidnapped you and you fell in love with them, like, that's kind of crazy.
Right.
But the story in and of itself, if you don't, like, want to go to, I'm sorry, Kathy, she's
The only reason I struggle with that whole thought process is the fact that this is her character you saw from the beginning. Viewed people on who they were. I don't.
Get close to me.
I don't want to. My boobs are in the way.
There you go, girls.
Okay, so I don't care. She gets it.
Just say hi to me.
Hello. From the beginning of the movie, we know that Belle is all about who people are and not how they look. We know that from the beginning of the movie.
That is what Disney is trying to say. Yes.
And
When she's
that
walking down the road, right?
Shush her. That follows through into when she switches places with her dad. She is a self-sacrificing
Yes.
person who sees the best in everyone, even in this beast. She's going to give him the chance. She's going to take what she can, and in learning about him before falling in love with him, she sees who he is.
Yeah.
That's where that you see. That's where that song. If I could sing, I'd sing, but I can't, so I won't.
There's something there.
Thank you. It's that transition where she actually sees a gentler side of him. She sees the humanity in the beast.
Yeah.
So that's where I struggle, and I understand everybody coming up with the Stockholm syndrome thing about her being the captive, but it's the storyline of don't fall for the person just for the way they look, because they may not be on the inside what they are on the outside.
And I think that you are correct. I think that sometimes we do a zero-sum game, right? Like, that is also true, and it's also true that she falls in love with Captor. I think it's also true that she kind of is out for like a better life for herself.
Yes.
And she kind of dogs her village. Like, in that
She does.
whole
She
opening
does.
song, I mean, I'm all for Belle. Reading, not needing a man, the whole 9 yards. But she's kind of snobby a little bit.
You know
Yeah,
what
but
she did?
Who
She
does
walked.
she run into? She runs into the girl hitting on the baker and all the people who are
Yeah.
swooning over Gaston, and the baker who wants to hit on the young girl whose boobies are all present, and
That's true.
so
That's
Yeah.
very true.
But she walks.
We can say boobies on the show. It's our show.
She walks through town with her face in a book, like we all walk with our face in a cell phone. So what's so bad about the cell phone?
What's so bad about a cell phone?
I'm just saying.
Anyway.
Okay, so I really I want to touch on this because I love what Laura said. So she has two girls that are twins, and I've met them. They actually have one of my puppies. And her identical twins are very different. And she says this, how one is more like princess in dress. She had a picture the other day. I don't know if this was on her Facebook or if she sent this to me. I don't remember. But one of her girls was in like a tutu and a dress walking in a park. And her other girl had her hair up in a ponytail and had like a Marvel shirt on and tennis shoes. And she was saying how her girls are so different. And, through all this princess thing, and yeah, we're talking about all this, and we talked a lot about the shaming and all that. I do think it's very important, like, to say many girls want to be a princess, but not all.
No.
right.
And that's okay. And the one thing that I do think that society does is for those girls who don't want to wear the fancy dress and would rather wear the Spider-Man shirt or the the quote unquote boy clothes, they feel they're the outsiders. They feel that they're not girly enough, or they're not being a girl, or something's wrong with them. And she uses the term tomboy. I'm a tomboy. Like, there's something wrong with me. That also goes back to, it's a parent thing, and it's a society thing of like teaching them it is okay. Many girls want to be Disney princesses or princesses in general, and that's wonderful. But we need to love and support the girls that are like, I ain't wearing that dress. And that's important. So thanks for sharing that.
But I think
Yeah.
we need to take responsibility as a society that it's
Yeah.
not Disney. It's
It's
us
society.
as a society
Yeah.
that is saying, well, if you want to dress like a boy and you're a girl, you're doing the wrong thing. If you want to play sports and you're a girl and you want to be aggressive and you don't want to go and put on the nail polish and put your hair up and be all frou-frou, that it's wrong. It's not Disney saying that. It's society.
It's society for sure.
Yeah, because Merida had crazy hair.
Yeah, she did. So, and those are important things to look at. And that can bring up a whole nother discussion just
Yeah.
in general. Of like,
So then we get into I want to bridge us over into real life a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised when we put out the post this week asking about thoughts on Disney princesses, how many people were in support of them. The reason that I was surprised is because when we talked about The Bachelorette, y'all thought I was a crazy person
Amy was a little
for
offended,
liking
guys.
it. The responses were polar opposites. And
Yeah.
I get it. Bachelorette is actually real life or pretend maybe kind of real life. And then Disney princesses are complete fantasy. I get it. But I was still surprised because
Yeah.
I thought the whole issue of how it makes women look would have kind of been more steady in the responses. But
Then we put
what
another
about
poll
when
up.
we think about real life princesses?
So what is the results of those?
The
poll right
royal
now?
family. I think we were 40-60% on our poll. 40% saying that they are followers of the royal family, 60% saying they don't really care. But whenever the royal family is about to have a baby or a wedding, people air it all
People
day.
are crazy.
They're crazy.
Well, it's because they just want to
So-
see what's going on.
So how
So
do we
I'm
They're
not a
nosy,
crazy
that's for
person. I'm not a crazy person about the royal family, but a lot of Kate and William's life events happened the same time as mine and my husband's. So they got married a few months before we did. Their kids are all the same age as those our kids, plus a couple of months. So
for their club?
So they all were born like 2 or 3 months before my kids, and then they're opposite genders. So they did boy, girl, boy. We have girl, boy, girl. I say I have 3 chances to be in the royal family now, but like, but this may be like a little bit TMI, but like I remember when I was having my first daughter, Kate Middleton had just had George, the oldest, yeah. And
See, I couldn't even name them. Nope.
Oh, and then just Charlotte. I have a Charlotte, and not after the princess, and then Louis, I think is the most recent one. But she didn't have an epidural, right? And so she like walked out of this thing after a day
was she
in
the one
white.
That walked out
Yeah,
white?
it was insane. And
I
she
wear
looked
white
like
for 2
perfect.
years.
And I remember I was sitting there getting ready to give birth, and I was having these horrible contractions, and I'm really scared about people putting something in my spine. So I didn't have an epidural. It was literally because I was scared.
Which just because the needle.
I understand. I didn't
So I didn't get it, but I kept saying to me, if Kate Middleton could do it, I can do it too. And my husband's like, I'm really glad you didn't tell me that at the time, because I would have like wanted to punch you. But like, so it's a very passive thing. It's not everybody, but their life events just happen to coincide with mine. So
That's
I
awesome.
followed them a little bit more than I would have ever thought to.
I just am always surprised how many people follow it so much.
When
and
it's
love
really
it
like
so
totally
much.
different.
I think too many people watch for them to falter.
That's very true. And you said something, and this makes me laugh. You had said, because people are nosy. So Tracy, I breed Dalmatians, and she said I was like that over the Dalmatian puppies. So guys, I can tell you this. I had Dalmatian puppies, and like literally, if I didn't post a video 4 to 5 times a day, people were like on me. I had people willing to pay me to do live feed of my dog having labor and like the puppies running
Are
around.
you serious?
No joke.
I don't need to see that.
I already have people. So my dog is due at the end of June, and I already have people contacting me going, hey, like, you know, I do have cameras in my house, but I don't have cameras in like certain areas of my house. And like 2 people were like, hey, can you make sure she delivers here so that we can watch? No, but it kind of goes back to that of like, this is a dog, or the giraffe. I mean, remember society? Like,
Oh my! Stopped.
People went nuts over that.
April?
April.
like society.
I should not all know the name of a random giraffe that had a baby.
Exactly.
I did not know.
But it was all over Facebook, and I can tell you guys,
Media.
I probably could make some money off of just living my dog, and I
Yes,
won't.
you could.
I won't do it.
No, I
But
think you should.
Oh, totally.
we might sponsor the show now on this
Oh
one.
But
my
I think
goodness.
the thing
Sip
is,
of Solidarity, sponsored by Danielle Dalmatians.
they're looked upon as up here,
Yeah.
and so society
Yeah.
believes they're down here, and so when we're watching them, we're like, oh, if they falter, they drop
That's
a little
true.
bit, and then they drop a little bit, and then, oh my goodness, they're even with us, so they're not any better than us. It's the same thing we do with movie stars.
Celebrities.
And, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
We wait for
And
them
I-
to falter so we feel better about ourselves.
Well, and I also think that there's just something so ingrained, and we don't have this in America, but like something so ingrained with the idea of monarchy and royal blood, and just it's just this weird the better than situation. And I don't necessarily like. I would never. It's just intriguing to me. It's just like the way that like, you know, like in Downton Abbey, like they really had servants doing what? Like helping them get dressed. Like that's just fascinating to me. And
I do love Downton Abbey.
ooh, I love that.
I think
I've never
what
seen
I
it.
like about the royal family,
I've
I
never
like
seen
thinking
it. I've never seen it.
about the
She just judged you. She judged you.
I did not. No, I did not judge.
need to watch
I
it. It's
am
so good.
I am
No,
a
I didn't-
different breed. I
No.
Trust me.
There's no judgment in there. It's just so good. You just
It is really good.
continue.
But
Okay.
something I love is how, like, the women were, like, Kate and, see, this is how much I don't watch,
Megan.
Meghan. They weren't born princesses.
No.
They literally became Cinderella. Ta-da! Like, they
Sure.
literally were born complete, normal, just like us, and,
Yeah.
like, met and fell in
Didn't
love
they
with the
have
prince.
some sort of like well, like,
I mean, they might have been well off, maybe.
but
I don't
can
know.
the princesses just? I mean, this might be just way off, but can the prince just marry anyone?
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, they're
Now,
just
I mean,
anyone.
it's a pretty big deal.
I don't
that
think
he,
they could before. I think
Both
when
of
it
them
was
were just
I
anybody,
think when
right?
it was Charles, it had to be someone of royal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think that part of the reason that the royal family for our generation, and maybe, maybe people a little bit older, like Diana was a big deal. Like she really broke the
Yeah.
mold. And I remember when she died, but I was too young really when, like, I don't even remember the year that they were born. I think it was before I was born. Because William's our age or a little bit older.
I don't know.
Woof.
I know, right? But like,
ancient.
it is a big deal. And when you look at history and how the monarchy has affected history, like to me, that's where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back into things like that. That's why I loved. I watched most of The Crown, like the
Yeah.
first season of The Crown.
Yeah, I've watched that and Victoria. It's good stuff.
Okay, so coming from the old age of the temple.
Megan isn't even
There we go,
British.
sorry.
I was in college when Diana died, and I remember. I mean, it was just blasted.
Mhm.
I think we are in
remember.
Ashland, Ohio, and I think classes were even canceled.
That was our first real social media event.
Yeah.
Wow.
To be
And it
to be
was,
bluntly
I
honest.
mean,
Yeah.
that was a trauma for the world because I think the one thing that woman did was she humanized
Yes.
the royal family.
Yeah.
You know, they were untouchable. They were way over here where they were the elite, and you just did not. And she actually, instead of bringing them down and instead of saying that she brought them down to our level, she brought the world into them.
Yeah.
And by doing that, she became what did they label her, the people's princess.
Well, because of that, also it was the first big scandal. Because if you remember, she died with
with Dodie.
her person. It wasn't.
Was it Dodie or Dottie?
It wasn't.
Diane.
It wasn't her husband. It was she.
Well,
Weren't
but they were
divorced?
divorced.
They were divorced, and she was with her person, and so that was all part of it. So it was a
Divorced
huge
and she was
scandal
with
on
her
top of
person.
it. So it was
I
really
see-
the
and
first
how
real
young
big
I am,
social media
I
event.
don't
To be
even
honest,
remember them being divorced. I don't know anything.
I
about
just
it.
remember it being on the front page of the paper.
we're old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I'm 32, and I remember her dying.
I got shoes.
I remember she's this great princess, and I remember something about a tunnel and all that of how. But I had no idea there was a divorce and there was all that.
Yeah.
Actually hit. They got airborne and hit because they were running from paparazzi.
Yeah.
The paparazzi were chasing them and they were trying to get away, and the driver got airborne and hit into a column in the tunnel, and the car just D'd and
Buckled.
blew up.
It was horrible.
So
Crazy.
Yeah.
So on that positive note,
Thanks, Phantom Boys. Thanks, Phantom Boys.
The Phantom Boys.
All right, so where are we?
So
Getting off topic.
yeah, I mean, unless we have any final princess thoughts that our guests are like dying to share.
There's a lot of controversy on what Meghan is. Is she not British? She's not American. She may be American Canadian.
Diana?
No, Meghan, who is
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
I thought she was Canadian.
I thought she was American and Canadian.
I think so.
They called her multiple
Amerinadian?
racial.
She is
She is
biracial.
biracial. Her mom.
Yeah.
Because that was
Yeah.
a huge thing. Was
Wow.
the fact that she was the first biracial person into that family.
Yeah, that is huge.
How did he meet her? School, right?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I think it was mutual friends because she was.
All right, we're gonna have a
She
show
was
on,
on-
royalty. So I
I'm
can
pretty
get this
sure she was
information.
on Suits when they met.
Yes.
That's why I binge watched Suits.
To watch her.
She was on Suits. What's Suits?
It was a
Like a Bachelorette.
no.
No,
It's
it's
a
a-
show about
yeah.
attorneys, corporate attorneys.
Was
and
she a corporate attorney?
Interesting.
She was a paralegal, and then she, spoiler alert, became an attorney. But once she left the show because of marrying royalty, I stopped watching. So maybe I really was watching
so
for
somebody
her.
please find the answer of how Meghan met him and what she is.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like that message.
All right.
Because
Well-
Kate and William, it was through school.
That's who
Yeah.
the one was through school.
Yes.
Perfect.
The
So
only-
we
the,
go ahead.
the only other princess that we did not mention that's considered a Disney princess was actually in a real person movie. It wasn't a cartoon, which was in The Princess Diaries.
Oh,
that she was also a odd duck in the beginning who became a magnificent looking.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot you can take away from Anne Hathaway. I mean, she's gorgeous.
True.
It's hard to make her
But-
ugly.
But she was also somebody who viewed female independence. And when it came around to doing Princess Diaries 2, she was trying to run the country on her own, that it didn't need to be run by a man, that she could run it on her own.
Yeah.
She didn't have, because it was a whole arranged marriage.
Right.
For
I
her
don't
to be
think-
able
I
to
haven't
take the
seen it.
crown. Yeah,
Yeah,
for her to
there's
be
like
able
a
to
1,
take
2,
the
and 3, I
crown,
think.
she had to have a husband, and it had to be a prince, and so they went to the monarchy and changed it in the monarchy so that she, as a woman, could run the country, and it could be a woman-run country, and she didn't have to have a man by her side in order to do it. So that was a whole feminist movement and that sort of princess dynamic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Somebody said it was an actress on Suits. So
That's how he met her.
how was he at Suits? Is what I like.
I mean, you don't have
he's
the answer.
Prince Harry. Like,
I mean, come on, guys. I'm trying to figure
Well,
out how I'm going to find my Prince Charming here. I
maybe
need to know
he
what
was-
show I need to get on.
Maybe he was watching
was the bad
Suits and
boy.
he called the producer and said, "Hey, so someone is going to call the producer of our show and ask how."
How to meet
To
you.
make you
I'm
princess.
available, just so you know. Make
my
me a
gosh.
princess. No.
Okay,
All right, moving on.
so
She ate pear popcorn. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. But this has been a really fun show, you guys. And thank you for tuning in. For
Yeah.
those of you watching back, we're excited to see what comments you put in and to reply to those.
We didn't get to
Genovia.
respond to all of the comments that posted. We got a lot of good long ones. Know that we will come back and revisit those. So thanks so much. Thanks so much for sharing it. A lot of you shared it. It helps us reach more people and have good conversations with them as well.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that.
Now, next week's going to be similar but different. So last week we talked about The Bachelor, Bachelorette. This week we talked about Disney princesses. And all of these kind of have a theme of like, what does this do for women? How does it like make us
Make us feel inside and what we're going to do with that in society. And, you know, we kind of tapped on that a little bit, more on like a funnier side.
Yeah.
But we really want to just get deep. And, you know, like when I had said we came back here and things I felt in the store, like we know that each woman, each person, I'm not even going to say woman, each individual in society feels shame, feels guilt, feels judged. And so just kind of tapping in on those things, right?
Yeah, specifically around body shame and how we feel, vanity, not being vain.
Perfect.
It's okay to feel pretty. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
we hope you tune in again next week. This has been a blast. So thank you for being a part of it and a sip of solidarity.
Good night, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Right.